If we're going to have real self-esteem, it needs to be that thing that can't stop, even when the window dressing isn't there anymore, right? All right, so let's talk about that. To be able to understand this, guys, we have to go clear back to the beginning. To understand when God was talking to Jesus, and they're going through a process of creating, and they created the human being, all right? When that happened, listen specifically what was said. In Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 and 27, it says this, "Then God said, let us make people in our image according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the sky, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." God created people in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. Okay, so here's where we start. So what we learn right away is that for all of creation, everything that was created, only one part, the human race, was created in the image of God. Now here's what's important. When we look at that and we think about, okay, so we're created in the image of God, it's easy for us to think, oh, okay, I see what you're talking about. But you know what? In John chapter 4, verse 24, Jesus made a statement where he said that God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and in truth. So we can't look and go, I'm created in the image of God because I have hands and bones and blood and flesh. No, God doesn't have that stuff. The way that we're created in the image of God is that we have this thing called the eternal soul. Now there's the key, eternal. Doesn't go away, doesn't change. It's always there. This becomes foundational. Based on our eternal soul, we now have the ability to think a little bit about what we would be relative to our self-esteem. Now, there's another step. Do you know the Bible tells us that before we were born, in God having the process, going through the process of creating us, we were already valuable to God. Check this out. Psalm 139, verses 13 through 16. It says, "For you formed my inward parts. You wove me in my mother's womb. I will give thanks to you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret and skillfully made in the depths of the earth. Your eyes have seen my unformed substance, and in your book were all written the days that were ordained for me, when as yet there was not one of them." So the point is, now think about this. God is saying that from the very beginning, even before we were born, we were valuable and priceless to him. So before we were even created, we had that value. We come right back to the eternal soul made in the image of God. Now, I want to illustrate this for all locations. Right now I'm talking to you, and I'm talking to you based on this battery pack right here. All right, so to be able to power the mic, I have to be able to use this, I have to have that turned on. If I actually opened this and I took the batteries out, the end result is it wouldn't work anymore. The only thing that makes it work is, in fact, the battery in there giving me the power to be able to do what I need to do. Now, I know it's kind of early on a Sunday morning, but at all the locations right now, hopefully you're sitting close to somebody, but I need you to do something, if you will. I want you to turn, and I want you to look into the eyes of somebody right next to you. Can you do that? Just turn and look into those eyes. All right, stare into those eyes. I'll help you out there. All right, here we go. All right, so just look in those eyes. Good. Okay, all right. Guys, we're at church. Cut it out. Enough already. Wow. Come on, stay right here. Now, the reason I had you do that is it's always fascinated me that when we actually take the time and look at somebody, what we're actually seeing as far as who this person is, kind of like the battery pack, is the person behind the eyes. You see, what makes somebody that person is the fact that their soul, that's who they are, behind all of, if you will, the window dressing. Now, here's why I think that's important. I wrote this down because I thought it was interesting. As you look at that person, the real person, behind all the window dressing, I want you to think about their soul, because I wrote here this raw material. The soul that you're looking at, it is not fat, it is not skinny, it is not strong, it is not weak, it is not ugly, it is not beautiful, it is not poor, it is not rich, it is not a klutz, and it is not talented. The soul is perfect and precious, and that means the rest of everything that we have is what? Just window dressing. Now guys, the bottom line is that means that we get an opportunity to step back and understand the raw material that is who we are. And by understanding this raw material, guys, we now have an ability to start to realize what is significant and what is not. Because the stuff, now don't miss this, we're talking about a different foundation. Everything the world says this is what makes you valuable has nothing to do with what God says amounts to real self-esteem. The window dressing, it ain't that.